Okay, hi YouTubers and welcome to this video. Thank you so much for clicking. If you are new here, my name is Crystal. I am best known for having experienced a phantom pregnancy. At the time, I thought it was a cryptic pregnancy. I came to learn after a negative ultrasound that it was in fact a phantom pregnancy. And ever since then, I have been advocating, spreading awareness, education, and providing support for women who may be experiencing the same thing, have experienced a phantom or false pregnancy, or maybe thinking that they currently are experiencing it, or maybe wonder if one of their friends, family members, close relatives may be experiencing the same thing. So, welcome. This particular video is about HCG metabolism, and this is a big one because there's so many women who report not showing up positive on a home pregnancy test, a urine home pregnancy test, you know, until they're like 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks. There's some women who say that they don't get a positive until they're like months pregnant, like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months pregnant. And this intrigues me to no end. It's very, I happen to think it's a very interesting subject. And I really had no idea that there was women out there who don't test positive on a home pregnancy test at all during their pregnancy, and then some women who don't test positive on a home pregnancy test until way later into the pregnancy. While I was trying to conceive, because both of my pregnancies were planned, me and my husband, at the time we were not married, but we were actively trying to conceive. I was, tracking my fertility and all of those things. And at this time I had no idea that this was a possibility. Now, having gone through 2 standard pregnancies and 1 phantom pregnancy, the topic of HCG metabolism, I think, is a very hot subject, and it's also in the home pregnancy test communities, I guess, like the support groups and things like that. There are a lot of women who openly admit that they are pee on a stick addicts. Sorry, I messed that up so much. Pee on a stick addicts, which I can relate to, because when I conceived both my boys, well, I can't relate to it in my first pregnancy. I only took 1 pregnancy test before I went to the doctor with my first pregnancy. My second pregnancy, I took any test I could get my hands on, as well as I took a ton of ovulation tests, because it's known in the community that if you get a positive ovulation test close to when your period should be coming, that it actually is picking up the HCG and not the LH, and that it can show you you're positive just as well as a pregnancy test. So I took a ton of pregnancy tests for my second child. 1 second. Okay, so let's get to the topic. When pregnancies are dated, the normal landmark used is the first day of the last normal menstrual period, often called cycle day 1. So this is often known that when you get a positive pregnancy test, that your estimated delivery, or when however many weeks you're estimated, starts at the first day of your normal or your last normal menstrual period, often called cycle day 1. And this is also if you assume that you have a normal cycle, which most people don't, but typically the normal cycle is 28 days, which means that you will ovulate around cycle day 14. So the pregnancy would be implanting into the lining of the womb around day 19 to day 26, also known as 5 days post-ovulation or 12 days post-ovulation. Now, 5 days post-ovulation is very, very, very early, but it's, that it could be a day that you are possibly implanting. So if you are tracking your fertility from the day you ovulated, now I do plan on making a fertility video, or, how to boost your fertility, everything about fertility related. I plan on making a video about that soon, so stay tuned for that. These boys are running around the room, so let me go stop them really quick. They keep distracting me. Okay, so this is typically known, but when pregnancies are dated, the normal landmark used is the first day of the last normal menstrual period, often called cycle day 1. And this is pretty known, even with women who aren't trying to conceive, or, I mean, this is known that in order to figure out how many weeks pregnant you are, you date back to the first day of your last normal menstrual period. And this is also if you assume that you have a normal cycle, which most people don't, but typically it's 28 days. You will ovulate around day 14 if you have a 28-day cycle. This is not always necessarily true, and that's why it's very, very good if you are trying to conceive to track your fertility. I do plan on making a detailed video of how to track your fertility and everything fertility related here soon, so watch out for that. So this means that the pregnancy would be implanting into the lining of the womb from around day 19 to day 26, also known as possibly 5 days past ovulation, up to 12 days past ovulation if you are tracking your fertility from the day you ovulated. That's what you would know those days as. It is not until the pregnancy has implanted and established a good blood supply that the hormone it produces, called HCG, will start to rise in the mother's bloodstream and become detectable by more than one manner. So it becomes detectable not only in the urine, but also in the blood. And we will talk a little bit later about other ways or other possibilities or other, what am I looking for? The word. Other, completely blanking out. Hold on. So normally this means that a pregnancy test is not positive until after the first day of the missed period for the typical woman with a 28-day cycle. But if you have an irregular cycle, this does not help and it doesn't make things very clear at all. For women who have 32-day cycles or 30-day or 35-day cycles, there's some women who have 40-day cycles, and that's just been their norm since they've started their period. So it's a lot harder for them to determine when they're going to ovulate, because it's not, they could ovulate a lot later than 14 days or even before 14 days. It just really depends on the woman, her hormones, her health, her stress level. Although less reliable and less common, some women do have a positive test even before their missed period. This can lead to a chemical pregnancy, and it's possible that a lot of women experience chemical pregnancies, but they don't test early, so they are never actually aware that they were pregnant for 24 hours or 48 hours. Sometimes chemical pregnancies last up to 5 days, 6 days before the line starts to slowly become faint, and then the woman usually starts bleeding. There is no way that your doctor would be able to detect pregnancy at 2 weeks from your previous period using an internal ultrasound. So the pregnancy sac will not be visualized until it is completely implanted at around 4.5 to 5 weeks. And a baby itself at 5 weeks to 5.5 weeks. And a confirmed heartbeat is not often seen until beyond 6 weeks gestation. So around 5.5 weeks, you may not even see baby. You may just be able to see the sac and the yolk. Around 6 weeks, it is possible that you will be able to see a baby and the heartbeat. There are some women who go in around 6-7 weeks gestation and are not able to see it, and they have to wait until 8 weeks or 9 weeks or farther along to actually be able to see the heartbeat on an ultrasound. So if you are going by HCG value, 99% of the time, one would expect to see the gestational sac at 3,510, the yolk sac at 17,716, and the fetal pole at 47,685. So those are really high HCG values. Like it says, a gestational sac would be seen at 3,510. That amount of HCG would most definitely turn a pregnancy test positive. And see, this is what intrigues me the most, is that it's said in the medical community that you are not going to be able to see your baby, to see a sac or a fetal pole until you reach these estimated amounts in HCG. However, there's said that there's been women who test negative in both urine and blood and are able to see their baby on an ultrasound with no difficulty. So that's what intrigues me a lot. The threshold value, the lowest value at which one would expect to see someone or something, a baby, or to see anything on an ultrasound, the lowest amount for a gestational sac would be 390, and the yolk sac would be 1,094. Both of those values will still give you a positive on both a urine home pregnancy test and a blood pregnancy test done by any doctor. HCG is usually detectable in the blood serum, usually 8 days after conception of approximately 5% of women who are pregnant. Virtually the rest, 95% of women, will experience its detection at about 11 days after conception, and that's very, very soon. So it's saying that 95% of women will experience HCG detection at about 11 days after conception. HCG levels rise progressively immediately after conception. The levels double every 30.9 hours on average until they reach 6,500 at around the 8th week after your last menstrual period. After this, the rate of increase is individualized and peaks between 60th and 70th day of the last menstrual period. So HCG eventually decreases slightly post your last menstrual period, between the 12th and 16th week, after it remains constant until delivery. So the HCG value is important but not required in confirming a viable pregnancy, because the level considered healthy is different for every single woman and for every single pregnancy. And I'm interested to know how different it is for every woman. So let's explore together, because what I said before was information, but now this is where I really started to research. So normal HCG values vary up to 20 times between different pregnancies. That's tremendous. Normal levels of HCG can vary tremendously. After 5 to 6 weeks of pregnancy, sonogram findings are much more predictive of pregnancy outcome than the HCG levels taken by the blood. Once the fetal heart rate is seen, most doctors will monitor the fetal heart rate rather than drawing their HCG and checking the value. Some normal pregnancies will have quite low levels of HCG and actually deliver healthy babies. There's also normal pregnancies that will have very low levels in the very early stages of pregnancy and very slowly rise into the second trimester and even into the third trimester. And these women are reported to deliver healthy babies. During my research, I have found a very important and looked upon as a myth finding that not all women metabolize HCG in their urine, and some only metabolize a small amount. So the women who don't metabolize HCG in their urine are the women who test negative on a home pregnancy test and can even test negative in the very, very expensive home pregnancy tests. Then there's some women who metabolize a very, very small amount of HCG into their urine. To me, this was the most bizarre and hard to wrap around my head. It was so hard to wrap my hand around. This is a finding that I have uncovered and discovered during all my research and investigation in cryptic pregnancy and phantom pregnancy. Why? What is different about these particular women, and why don't they metabolize HCG into their urine? And how come there's not a special test for these women from the pregnancy tests manufacturers? Now, because they are aware of this. Anyways, now that we are all aware that every pregnancy is different, and I mean, we're all aware of that. You've been told every pregnancy is different. It's said many, many times. But how much have you ever stopped to really think about that? When you really think about how different your pregnancy, if you've been pregnant, how different your pregnancy was from your first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, how different they all were to each other. And if you take into account with hormonal changes, lost nutrients from previous pregnancies and or just life, other physical changes that occur after each and every pregnancy, along with age increase, environment changes, and stress level, it is no wonder your metabolism might change in response to these fluctuations throughout your life. So it's not it's not a secret that your metabolism changes as a woman, as a person throughout your life for many different reasons. So it isn't that odd to think that a woman who tested positive for one pregnancy might test negative for another pregnancy or all her pregnancies after, once you take this information into account. So I've found a published article that I find is very useful. It has 3 consecutive false pregnancy tests in a twin pregnancy. It's a case report that was written up, and a woman got three consecutive false negative pregnancy tests when she was pregnant with twins. And so I wanted to talk about it here, but I don't want to make this video too long. So I will include, for more in-depth information, I will be linking that medical reference in the description box below. So check that out and read it, because it is very, very, very useful. It actually mentions, it has a medical reference to the hook effect, and it actually explains how you can medically go around that, written up in this case report. I think it's very, very important. If you're interested, please click below and read that. I think you will be shocked to know, or to find, the information in that article, or I should say case report. And I'm sure most people watching this are aware of the hook effect. And if you're not, it is easily researched with a quick Google search. So I definitely suggest that you do that. 1 second. So during my research, I found some very, very intriguing information that focuses on using other things, other bodily fluids other than your urine, to test with a home pregnancy test. So I look forward to talking about some of those interesting alternatives in my next video, including some ways I have found during my research you can use to go around and possibly get a positive at-home pregnancy test, but just skipping the urine altogether. So join me in my next video. I really, really hope you do. It's going to be very informative. I come across this very intriguing information, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really, really hope that you got something out of it, learned something new, maybe found something to research on your own. If you have any questions for me personally, please leave them in the comments below. You can email me directly. My email is in the description box below as well, or you can private message me through Facebook or Instagram, or on my Facebook group, Facebook page. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, night, evening, week, weekend, whenever you're watching this. Thank you guys so much. Be well, be happy, be healthy, stay blessed. Bye.